Good morning and welcome to After GMS. We are live on the News 2 Facebook page as we are every day at 7:45. I'm Megan Malaris alongside meteorologist Monique Robinson in for Christian today.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. I'm strong on the coffee though. Very strong on the coffee.
That's all right. It's typical of this time of morning. I'm sure our viewers can relate. So we'll give you all a few moments to pop on here while we start talking about this forecast because Monique, we had a really wild weather day yesterday with a confirmed tornado in Wilkes County, an earthquake in Morganton, flooding throughout Surrey County. All of us got rain. Are we quieting down?
Yeah, our radar is much quieter now as compared to yesterday or even this morning when I came into work where we did have some stronger storms moving through, but not so much the case now. I know a lot of folks waking up like, hey, do I need to be on precaution? You know, what do I need to do? Well, you always need to make sure you're weather ready by just making sure you have an app or you have some sort of resource where you can tap into what's going on outside of your four walls. But I mean, we're good in terms of Fred for today. It's well to the north of us. Not expecting to deal with that any longer. Alrighty then, so here's a look at that radar. You can see on here weather conditions shaping up to be much drier, and you can see our radar showing you that shower activity well to the east of us. And if you look on this futurecast, so this is showing you what we can expect over the next couple of hours. And you can see the shower and storm activity already starting out well to the east, right? The cloud cover, that's the shady grays that you're seeing on this futurecast map. Those stick around for the next couple of hours or so. This model showing in some light showers along with them. But then behind it, around lunchtime, heading out the door, things shaping up to be way more improved than they were earlier. You can see clear skies by that 1 p.m. hour, so giving way to sunshine by the afternoon, and that sun's going to stick around through 3 p.m. You can see continued clear skies even through 5 p.m., 6 p.m. So it looks like it's shaping up to be a very quiet night for us, and as we continue through your Wednesday, we're looking at very clear skies for your evening. So again, much different than yesterday. Here's a look at a futurecast kind of showing you why we're looking at different weather conditions. Well, that's because Fred is well to our north, no longer coming into play when we're talking about weather. We have the tropical air mass put into place. We're getting winds out of the south. Think about things that are in the south. Some tropical islands, Caribbean islands. If you've ever visited any of them, they're very hot, but also very humid. And that's what we're all going to be feeling here at home as well. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to see what else we have on here. All right, next 12 hours, feeling hot and muggy. We're going to slowly but surely warm up as those clouds begin to break, giving way to more sunshine. It will allow that sun to bake us for the afternoon and allow those temperatures to climb. The dew points, the mugginess, that's not even changing much. I mean, if you head outside right now, you'll feel the mugginess. And then when you head outside later, you'll also feel it. And guess what? Tomorrow, you'll also feel it once again. So that muggy meter isn't changing much. So my word for today is muggy to describe the weather. We will have some very nice sunrises and sunsets a lot of times in the wake of some of these tropical systems. When you do have that cloud cover sticking around, it will allow for some beautiful views. And here's a look at the dew points over the next several days, making for uncomfortable conditions. I'm trying to get to the 7-day to show you guys on there. You can see upper 80s over the next several days, but with the dew points in the 70s, I mean, you won't really feel much of a difference. It just will feel uncomfortable. I'm going to take a shot of outside, and you can see in Burlington that sun rising, a bit breezy there. Current temperature 75 degrees. Thick clouds sort of lingering there, but not expecting for them to stick around for the entirety of the day.
All right, so looking up but getting hot.
Yes.
That is our theme. Well, now that Fred is in our rearview mirror, let's take a visual tour of the impact. Here are some of the storm updates we saw on social media. This is video of the tornado in Wilkes County. A viewer captured it coming from an area near Clingman. You can see the funnel clouds starting to form. And then look at this. Flooding was a big problem after all that rain, especially in the mountain communities. This is the high water levels near Boone. Water in this picture reaching about halfway up the tires on that car. Remember, it takes just 6 inches of water to sweep away a car. Always turn around. Don't try to drive through flooded roads. For many parts of the Triad, we just got bad storms. That was me at our house. Look at the clouds quickly moving through the sky in Burlington. This is an awesome time-lapse video there. So while we talk about this, go ahead and drop down in the feed here the comments, what you saw at your house. Already getting some comments here. Bobby said high winds with periods of heavy rain, but no damage for him. Carol said she's on her way home from New York, but was told she had really heavy rain at her house. Heather slept right through the storms in Guilford County and High Point. Normally I can sleep through them too, but these were really loud. That thunder and lightning associated with some of them, especially earlier in the weekend, and then the ones yesterday really just brought us a good soaking, which we needed.
Yeah, I heard a lot of the wispy winds. That was what I heard a bit. I had trouble sleeping too, so I'm right along with that one. But I think overall weather conditions last night were mainly in the foothills. Okay. So if you were in the mountains or the foothills, that's why we're hearing stuff of reports in Wilkes County, Yadkin, Iredell, it's out of our area, but they had a lot of those potential tornado warnings, some that have not been confirmed yet. But that was the community that dealt with that on earlier today and late last night. But in Greensboro, Guilford County, you guys did get a storm shower kind of roll through, but it kind of all fizzled out. So didn't get spicy weather, which is good. We don't want that, especially some folks waking up to some damage in their area.
So Chuck had a question. He said, did anyone hear of a tremor in the area around 9:15 last night? Do you think that if that were the case, where he didn't mention where he felt that, it could have been tied to maybe some kind of an aftershock from the Morganton earthquake? That was only about a 2.7. So was that
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. You know, that this tropical depression Fred, even though it had weakened from its storm force, it still brought a lot of impacts. And you say that's really important to consider as we go through hurricane season. Yeah,
always. You know, whenever you hear the term, oh, it's a tropical storm, oh, it's a hurricane, it's very important that you listen to what the meteorologist is describing as the severe weather impacts you can expect associated with that weather event. Because I've been in a space following Hurricane Florence where it was a Category 1, and some folks say, oh, it's just a Category 1, but the damage was undescribable in terms of flooding. That's a big thing we saw even on today. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily matter as to the category, because the category is actually only determined by the wind speed. It doesn't factor in the magnitude, how big it is. It doesn't factor in the speed of it. So all of those things, when you come into play, they actually can produce other severe weather metrics that are not always encompassed by that title of a tropical depression or a tropical storm or a hurricane.
I remember covering Hurricane Matthew a few years ago at the North Carolina coast. It hit as a weaker hurricane, much weaker from when it started, and hit some of the islands and then Florida. But it brought devastating flooding to the inland communities where many people from the coast had evacuated. And flooding from these storms is the deadliest weather phenomenon we have.
And every single system is different when it comes to the tropics. So, for example, even 2019, I recall Hurricane Dorian. We all were hearing the stories about in Bermuda, Bahamas, how they were devastated with a lot of rainfall when it was a hurricane. However, when it hit North Carolina, South Carolina, it had a lot of tornado warnings. So, I mean, we didn't have the impacts that they saw there when it came to flooding and the wind damage. However, we did have a lot of tornado warnings. So every storm is completely different. Again, it's really important that you listen to the meteorologists to hear, okay, what severe weather impacts are most concerning with this particular storm.
And what's frightening with these tornado warnings that sometimes spawn from these hurricanes or tropical systems is that they can happen while some of us are sleeping. I mean, that was the case last night. There were 3 warnings in Surrey County between midnight and 1:30 in the morning. That's why you say it's so important for you to have either a weather radio or those weather alerts activated on your smartphone.
Yes, yes. And every community is important to us. If you are in the Triad, whether you're in Wilkes County or you're in Guilford County, you're just as important to us. So that's why we really take it seriously no matter where the warning exactly is. But yes, you need to have some sort of alert system on your phone so you know exactly when it's heading in. Because a lot of times, actually, these systems do strengthen overnight. And so if they move inland and they're strengthening overnight, you definitely want to make sure that you are weather ready. But in general, you always want to make sure you have some way to access what system, whatever is happening, whether even it's just a severe thunderstorm.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this is a great conversation. You can continue weighing in about what you saw in your neighborhood. We do have some morning headlines to get to, and then another fun talker coming up. So let's start with these here. A motion passed unanimously last night to approve a council member's resignation. Michelle Kennedy's letter did not say why she's leaving her post. We asked her why she resigned. She did not disclose that reason, at least not yet. Kennedy was an at-large member, meaning she did not represent a specific district. The council says it will figure out at a later date how to fill her role. A busy Greensboro roadway is back open this morning, and a man is in custody after a standoff with police. Police shut down all lanes of Gate City Boulevard near Hackett Street for hours yesterday morning. They say a man barricaded himself inside of a building, refusing to come out. Investigators say the suspect was 26-year-old Edward Hubbard Jr. Investigators say he has a long criminal history. Officers were trying to serve the outstanding warrants against him for several charges, including assault by strangulation. Davie County Schools, if you haven't heard, reversed course on its masking policy. It has said now students and staff must wear masks inside. Superintendent Jeff Wallace announced the decision Monday. It reverses the mask optional policy that the school board had approved last month. Davie County Schools could change the mask policy if COVID-19 trends improve. Well, many students across the Triad will be waiting at bus stops and riding school buses, and that brings us to our second talker of the day, this one about back to school. Dig into your memories here, some nostalgia. How did you get to school? Did you ride the bus? Did your parent or a neighborhood carpool take you? Did you ride your bike? Maybe you walked to school? While you type up your answers here and drop them in our feed, WFMY News Denise McMiller has a refresher on school bus laws and safety tips.
Well, on these buses is someone's most prized possession, their children. To make sure no child is injured on their way to or from school, law enforcement and school administration are asking the public to be on the lookout for buses and be more cautious on the roadways. Parents can help too by having their little ones at the bus stop on time and have them stand in a safe place away from the road. Also, placing reflective items on their backpacks can help, and instructing them to not run around or roughhouse with friends while waiting on the bus. And law enforcement will also do their part to keep children safe.
Representatives from law enforcement from across Rockingham County, and we're going to be working school zones. For the first few days of school, we're going to be out watching for speed. And also persons that are careless and reckless in operation of their vehicles around school zones, we're going to be looking out for that. Also, we're going to encourage you to if you have cell phones, put them down. Don't be distracted when you're around a school zone.
And for those who know buses frequently stop on their route to work, factor in some extra time in the morning so you're not rushing or tempted to go around a stopped school bus. And although mask requirements vary inside of schools, they are required on school buses. So you want to make sure your little one has one of those handy come Monday.
And back to our question here. How did you get to school? Did you ride the bus? Did you catch a ride from a parent, friend? Did you bike or walk? Already some comments here coming into our feed. We heard from Carol, who said in New Jersey walked, but here we rode the bus.
Carol, what part of Jersey are you from? I'm from Jersey.
Okay, all right. Drop a response, Carol. Sandra said rode the bus more than 50 years ago. Bobby rode the school bus every day. Heather said to school, a parent, from school, the bus. So when I went to school, my mom took me primarily every day. We did have a neighborhood carpool though, and sometimes we would like when the neighbor picked us up after school because she would take us to the local 7-Eleven and we would get Slurpees and snacks and come home, and my mom was like, where have you been? You know, it's homework time. And so it was always a fun experience carpooling to and from school, but it was a real treat then to ride the bus for field trips and things because we didn't get to do that on the way to and from school. So.
Mine was like a myriad. I did all of those things at time. My mom was a school teacher, so when I did go to school where she taught, I just went along with her to school. But when I was in like high school, I remember I drove myself to school and I would end up being late because I always stopped for breakfast.
Yeah, you said you had a few incidences where you almost missed the bus coming by your house.
Yes. When I was in elementary school, when I didn't want my mom to be the one that drives me all the time, I would try to take the bus, but then I'd miss it. But then I'd be out of luck because my mom already went to school. So who's going to take me to school? So I had to walk, and I had a rolling book bag. Very embarrassing.
Oh my God, no!
Very embarrassing.
I remember the rolling backpacks. They were so useful though. I mean, when you think about it, who cares if the kids laughed at you? They're hauling the big heavy books on their back and you're rolling it in style. Maybe even though you didn't think it was style at the time.
Yeah, I was like, especially when you're running after a bus with a rolling book bag.
Help!
It's like running for a plane.
Yeah, and then it gets caught on the sidewalk, cracks. The books go flying. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yes, so many memories come up when you talk about back to school, you know? I mean, I know you guys are still dropping comments here in our feed.
To read.
But it's really interesting, and I thought Denise brought up several good points in that there are going to be thousands of students waiting at bus stops starting next week. Many of them will be really excited, eager to jump on. Some of them have different routes from what they normally take, and so it is so imperative that all of us, we haven't been seeing school buses like all summer. So it's important for all of us to be mindful of the school buses on the roads, mindful of those stop arms coming out. Never try to pass a stop school bus, and look for those school zones. You will get a ticket if you are speeding in a school zone. It's very easy to do because if you're not looking for those signs, you're not seeing them flashing, you know, obviously the intent is to protect students and keep them safe.
Yeah, I know a lot of students are definitely eager is definitely the word, because I know over the last year or two, you know, it's been a very different type of school year between virtual learning. So I know a lot of folks are excited, students are excited to get back in the classroom.
Yeah.
Trying to read some of the comments on here as well.
Yeah, Carol responded to you. She said, I carried all my books. We didn't have book bags.
Oh my goodness.
I remember carrying books from class to class, you know, and if I had several classes in a row, I would be hauling this big stack of heavy books up and down the stairs in our school, and there were like 4 flights of stairs. And so that was heavy on the back too. It's so funny.
I feel like I only carried books really when I was in college, because that's when I would I'd be out for the day, so I would go to the library, go to my classes and everything. I didn't even have to go all the way back to my dorm.
Your dorm or apartment, yeah. Sandra did also. She said no backpacks. That's so interesting.
Oh my goodness.
By the way, while we're talking about back to school, we do have our Tools for School drive tomorrow. That's something WFMY proudly partners with local teacher supply warehouses to do every year to collect supplies for our local teachers who oftentimes spend hundreds of dollars out of pocket buying supplies for children whose parents might not be able to afford them. So if you donate at one of our participating Walmarts, just know that your supplies are going to stay in the community where you donate. So really, it's a great cause. I've seen the impact firsthand in reporting on this for many, many years. You know, you don't want to imagine having all the other emotions of going to school compounded by the embarrassment of not having the supplies you need because your family can't afford it.
And also, it's been difficult years for a lot of families. So being able to provide a helping hand and be a blessing to someone will definitely be helpful in some families' lives.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. Susan weighed in here saying, I walked 1 block to school, and Carol is proud to have graduated in 1985. All right. Hey, thanks so much for weighing in on our second conversation of the day. This was so much fun. Monique, why don't you close us out with a final forecast, because it's going to be muggy for the students who are already back in school this week.
Look at this ominous view behind us. Those clouds are going to start to break, though, for the latter part of the day, and we're expected to warm up to some upper 80s. And as we continue throughout the week, I mean, the numbers look like they're changing, but they really will feel much of the same each and every day. Temperatures very warm, hot, some would describe, and humidity making for uncomfortable feels. A scattered chance for a late day scattered shower or storm over the next several days. I'm getting sleepy, so I'm gonna have to get some more coffee before the next hit here.
That's all right. The weather is getting sleepy because she's just gonna stay hot and warm, not do much for us this week. But hey, any kind of a calming pattern we could have after the wild weekend is going to be welcome relief.
You're exactly right.
All right, but always stay weather aware. Thanks so much for being part of our After GMS show here on Facebook. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. For now, get out there and get to it.